What's up, guys? Alex from Men at War here. The modern gym is basically a daycare, right? Most gyms are, treadmill farms. They got 2 kilo dumbbells, playlists full of fucking Drake and mumble rap, TikTok lights and whatever. A bunch of girls in yoga pants posing in front of mirrors, taking pictures of their asses for Instagram. Meanwhile, there might be a squat rack in the corner sitting there rusting away because everyone's, busy using the Smith machine or whatever it is. No one wants to bleed anymore, So do you want to be in a daycare? Do you want to be a toddler in a daycare? Or do you want to be a warrior? Which is it going to be? So my advice to you would be quit your local commercial gym and find some place where there's some real beasts training somewhere. Maybe it's like a dark warehouse somewhere, a bunch of madmen training with barbells and just iron, right? None of this techno bullshit playing in the background. No Instagram girls taking pictures of their booties for the likes, right? Find a place where there's some dudes there who might be a little bit scary, right? You need to train with those guys. A wise man once said, and that wise man said a lot of wise things. Louis Simmons from Westside Barbell, he once said, if you train with the lame, you'll develop a limp. And there's a lot of wisdom in that, right? So it's kind of the flip side of the other term, iron sharpens iron, right? If you hang out with losers, guess what happens? You'll turn into a loser eventually, right? There's another saying that says something like you're the sum of your 5 closest friends, or whatever it is. I mean, there's a lot of truth to that, right? So, like I said, if you hang out with losers, you will be a loser, right? And it's the same thing in training. If you train with a bunch of weaklings, guess what's going to happen? You ain't going to get stronger, right? If you're the strongest guy in your gym, maybe you're doing something right, but then again, maybe you're doing something wrong. Something to think about. What do you think is better? Do you think it's better to train in like a commercial gym where no one's really, actually training? Most people just go to the gym to exercise. And, if you know anything about training, and if you've been doing this for any extended period of time, there's a massive difference between exercise and training. So exercise is just basically what most normies do. They just go to the gym and they'll do some exercises. They'll, do some elliptical or whatever, some treadmill to warm up. They'll do the treadmill for 40 minutes. And then maybe they'll hit some arms or some legs. And they're not training. They're just exercising parts of their body, right? Maybe they'll do some squats, maybe some deadlifts. And that's fine. That's fine for most people, right? Most people aren't going to actually want to bleed, right? Most people aren't going to actually want to put in some really hard work to get strong, right? Most people aren't willing to do that. But if you want to get anywhere in terms of your training, and if you just want to get strong at all, you need to push yourself, and you need to have other people pushing you, because you are the worst person to be accountable to. All right. We are terrible at keeping ourselves accountable for what we do. Right. As human beings, we tend to we will justify anything. We will make excuses for anything and everything. Right. To resolve the cognitive dissonance of, wanting to do something, or at least saying that you want to do something, but not doing that, right? Or doing another thing. I'll give you an example. Like, let's say you want to lose some weight. All right, maybe you're a little thick around the midsection, maybe a little bit like me. You know what you need to do. Everybody knows what you need to do. Everybody knows what they need to do, right? There's no one who doesn't know how to lose weight. You just eat less, cut down on the junk food, cut down on the sugar and sweets and all of that. And hey presto, you're going to lose a bunch of weight. That's literally all there is to it, right? Maybe just move around a little bit more, take some walks, increase your cardio, all of that. But really, all you really need to do is just you just need to keep it simple. You just need to cut down on the sweets and stuff like that. Just eat less, and you're gonna lose weight, right? But there you are, cutting another slice of cheesecake for your fat ass, all right? Even though you know that what you should be doing is not eating that slice of cheesecake, right? But you'll find a way to justify it. You'll say, oh, I had a long training session today. I did some extra cardio, so I can eat the extra piece of cheesecake. It's not going to be a big deal. But you know what? That's not what your goal was, right? That doesn't support your goal. Your goal was to lose weight. And what you're doing is actively against that goal. You're not, you see what I mean? Like, you're saying one thing, but you're doing another, right? But you found a way to justify it by saying, oh, I did some extra cardio today, so it's all right. It's all right, right? So there's a cognitive dissonance that was created by the fact that you set a certain goal or whatever, or you said you were going to do something, but you did something else. But you found a way to justify it. So ultimately, you didn't keep yourself accountable for your actions. You justified your shitty actions, or not shitty, but you justified your lack of your lack of sticking to your goal and sticking to the plan. So that's why you need to train with people who will keep you accountable, right? You'll show up to the gym and you'll be like, oh, I'm really tired today, man. I don't think I'm gonna, I've got 3 sets of 5 on the squat, like at 80% or something. I'll do some heavy squats, man. I'm just not feeling it, bro. I had a rough day at the office today. The HR lady got up my ass because of an email I sent. And I went into the bathroom and I was crying for 20 minutes. And it was a whole thing. And I'm just not feeling it today, bro. And that's when your training partner to be like, man, shut the fuck up. Just squat, all right? The bar doesn't care how you feel. The program is the program, right? The program says 3 sets of 5 on the squat at 80%. That's what you're going to do today, all right? Now, I'm not saying if you went there, you went to the gym on like 2 hours of sleep, and because you went on a fucking bender the night before and you're hungover. Again, that's not keeping yourself accountable. That's stupid, right? But then going to the gym and being on like 2 hours of sleep and maybe you didn't eat anything all day. Yeah, obviously you're not going to be able to do 3 sets of 5 on the squat or whatever at 80%, or you're not going to be able to do your training for that day. But it's the same thing with the cheesecake thing. You weren't following your own goals. You weren't doing what you needed to do. And so you're basically self-sabotaging yourself. All right? So that's why you need to have training partners who will keep you accountable. Because if you know that somebody's going to be there, your buddy's going to be there at the gym the next day, and you're going to be like, oh man, if I pussy out, then, I'm going to get shit from my buddy. You're not going to pussy out. You're going to stay the course, right? And people want to think that they're independently minded and, I don't care what other people think. And, I don't care what people think about me and I'll do whatever I want and fuck everybody. No one's like that. No one's actually like that unless you're an actual sociopath, all right? Unless you're an actual psychopath. People care about what other people think all the fucking time. And it doesn't matter how independently minded you think you are or not, right? It doesn't matter. Like, people always care about what other people think. And that's why it's good to have people around you who have similar goals to you, people who are even more successful than you, because a rising tide brings up all ships, if you've ever heard that phrase, right? So if you have people who are better than you or better at you at some things that you want to learn, they will help you learn just by virtue of the fact that you're around them, right? So like I said, like Louis Simmons said all those years ago, I don't know when he said it, but it's, one of the smartest things he ever said, and he said a lot of smart things, but that's something that always stuck with me. If you run with the lame, you'll develop a limp. All right. So it's the same thing. If you hang out with losers, you will become a loser. But if you hang out with winners, If you hang out with fucking animals in the gym, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be a fucking animal. All right. And then when you're an animal, then when a beginner shows up at your gym, you're going to turn him into an animal. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's a constant kind of pass it forward process, right? So you learn from others, and then you can pass on what you learn to other people. All right. And that's how it should be. That's how it should be happening. And that's with everything in life, really. I mean, if you think about any trade, how do you learn a trade? How do you learn to be a carpenter? How do you learn to be a plumber? How do you learn to be a tattoo artist? You start an apprenticeship, right? You are like the noob, and you start off with like somebody who's a master at their craft, or who's just more experienced than you at their craft, right? And you learn from them. You learn by osmosis. You learn by hanging out with people. You learn by hanging out with people who are better than you. That's how you're going to learn. So even if you're still like, even if you're the strongest person in the gym or whatever it is, you're still going to find opportunities to learn. I mean, you can learn from beginners. You can learn from your coach. You're going to learn from everybody, right? So, but at least make sure that you're hanging out with the right kind of people. Because, like I said, if you run with the lame, you'll develop a limp. All right, guys, that's all from me. Catch you later.